Beyond the headlines, real change is happening in how Jamaica serves its people. So today we shine a light on the successes of the Public Sector Transformation Program and explore capital projects that are designed to enhance efficiency and deliver better services to all Jamaicans. You're watching Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Welcome.
Good day, I'm Lisa Rowe and this is your JIS News for Thursday, March 20, 2025. The 2025-2026 national budget presented by Finance Minister Favour Williams has been deemed credible by the Independent Fiscal Commission based on macroeconomic and fiscal projections. Fiscal Commissioner Courtney Williams made the statement during the IFC's inaugural press conference on Monday. He says the country's current fiscal policy and position are sustainable.
It is good that for over a decade, we have grown accustomed to greater macroeconomic stability. But this was not always the case. In Jamaica, that a national budget was credible or that we were on a sustainable path. In fact, for most of our history, this has not been the case. And that is why Jamaica is now engaged in a comprehensive process of economic reform and related institutional strengthening. And the IFC, Independent Fiscal Commission, is simply the latest component of this process of economic reform and institutional strengthening.
The IFC, which commenced operations on January 1, 2025, was established by the Independent Fiscal Commission Act 2021 to promote sound policy and management to sustain fiscal discipline. The Commission has since put forward recommendations to improve the budgetary process in its inaugural Economic and Fiscal Assessment Report.
The Commission proposed that our government present a comprehensive fiscal profile for the specified public sector. Second proposal was for tabling revenue measures concurrently with all other budgetary documents and presenting said measures in the fiscal policy paper. The third significant point we put forward for consideration is for establishing clear compensation negotiation cycles geared towards settling wage negotiations before the budget is presented.
Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Favour Williams, has reaffirmed the government's commitment to expanding the use of the central bank's digital currency Jamdex. She emphasizes that the initiative remains a priority despite challenges in onboarding businesses. Minister Williams was responding to questions during a recent meeting of the Standing Finance Committee of Parliament.
Businesses would prefer for Jamdex to be used to be able to be facilitated by their existing point of sale machines. So there is some work that would need to be done to have that kind of integration into the one point of sale machine that businesses use.
Jamdex, the digital version of Jamaica's currency, is currently available through the National Commercial Bank's Link Digital Wallet and Jamaica National's JNPay wallet. The work being done to transition Jamaica from a constitutional monarchy to a republic is more than 50% complete. That's according to the Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, Marlene Malahoo Fort. She says the constitutional reform process remains a top priority for the government as it seeks to establish a Jamaican president as the nation's head of state. The most recent step in the transition was the tabling of the Constitution Amendment Republic Bill 2024 in December last year.
You can only change the provisions of the Constitution by a bill amending those provisions. And with the bill in the Parliament, we are more than 50% along the way. More than. I would say that once the review is complete, the next thing is debating and passing the bill in the House of Representatives.
Minister Malahoo Fort was speaking at a GIS think tank on Wednesday. The bill is currently being reviewed by a joint select committee of Parliament, which is to produce a report to guide the debate in both houses of Parliament. Once passed in the House of Representatives, the legislation will move to the Senate. The minister explains that if the Senate does not complete its vote on the bill within a month, as prescribed by the Constitution, it will be deemed rejected and will return to the lower house.
We are going to be overtaken by general elections. The good thing is that the process, the alteration process in the Constitution, recognizes that too, and so the work can be done over different parliament. So we are more than halfway, but critically and qualitatively, because we have the bill in Parliament, I would say it's the biggest achievement that we have made so far in the process to reform the Constitution to transition to a republic.
Meanwhile, the Legal and Constitutional Affairs Minister says the referendum on the question of transitioning Jamaica to a republic will not be held at the same time as the upcoming general election. She explains that before a referendum can take place, a referendum bill will first have to be passed in Parliament, setting out the procedure for taking the vote.
It will provide for the participation of every Jamaican who is registered to vote to approve the changes that Parliament will make to the Constitution. Before we get to the actual holding of the referendum, we will have to design questions for the people to answer in the vote, and that is not yet done because we are paying very close attention to attempts by other countries. What has worked, what has not worked well.
The referendum will provide Jamaicans with the opportunity to decide whether to sever ties with the colonial structures and establish a governance system that reflects Jamaica's identity and aspirations. This will be managed by the Electoral Commission of Jamaica.
We know that all matters in relation to voting are managed by the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, the ECJ, and that will not change because the referendum is similar to a vote, except that you're not voting for people. You are choosing Jamaica by choosing changes to the Constitution that will see a Jamaican as head of state and the other changes being made.
And finally, Leeds Primary and Infant School in St. Elizabeth has been provided with 50 tablets to support students impacted by a devastating fire that caused significant damage to parts of the institution. The fire destroyed the building housing grades 2 to 4, resulting in disruptions to in-person learning for many students. The donation, which represents a collaboration between the Ministry of Education and E-Learning Jamaica Limited, is to help students continue their education while the school undergoes necessary repairs. Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon says repairing the affected sections of the building is a top priority.
The Ministry of Education team is here with me, and we are going to work quickly to rebuild the areas that are damaged. We came today with 50 tablets for those students who need them so they can continue learning. And then they told us that some of the students don't have any internet at home. And so we called Flow Foundation yesterday, and Flow Foundation said, of course we can help. We want to help the school. And so they gave us devices, not the devices, but the SIM cards for the devices. And they're loaded with a 30-day data plan.
In addition, the ministry plans to retrofit exam rooms in another part of the school with solar power, as the institution is currently without electricity. Principal of Leeds Primary, Christine Dawkins, expressed deep appreciation for the overwhelming support from colleagues, parents, and education officials.
The support is overwhelming. I cried for the devastation, and when I saw my colleagues, the way they rallied around me, I know that these devices are going to make a big difference.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Lisa Rowe. Thanks for watching.
During the next 5 minutes, We will update you on achievements being made under the Public Sector Transformation Program. These were outlined by Minister of Finance Favour Williams during her opening of the 2025-2026 budget debate.
We are ending fiscal year 2024-25 with gains in efficiency and productivity in government. Some of the strides made include expanding the use of ICT in the public sector to drive efficiency and effectiveness, building a shared services operations as a means of transforming the way government provides service internally, transformation of human resource management practices, compensation management, and rationalization of public bodies. Under this program, Madam Speaker, GovNet became a reality under the efficiency pillar. There is now a dedicated broadband infrastructure for the public sector. To date, 700 entities in the Kingston metropolitan area are now directly connected to the system. At the same time, the data center at eGov Jamaica has been upgraded and its data storage capacity has been increased by 260%. The Transformation Implementation Unit, lovingly called TIU, has also partnered with 4 ministries to implement systems to improve the way they deliver key services. A customer relationship management system was implemented at the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency of the Ministry of National Security. IRIFINS, a web-based fisheries licensing and registration system for fisheries and fisher farm, was implemented at the National Fisheries Authority. At the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, the Transformation Implementation Unit has supported the ministry to develop an effective and user-friendly web-based work permit system to improve the processing of work permit and CARICOM skills certificate. The Transformation Implementation Unit is particularly proud of the partnership with the Child Protection and Family Services Agency to modernize its ICT infrastructure. The CPFSA can now boast a unified network built on modern, secure, and robust technology. Still on the ICT front, MyHR, an integrated HR and payroll management system, is the first enterprise system successfully deployed in the public sector. It is now being used by approximately 70 ministries, departments, and agencies. In the upcoming fiscal year, we will implement a new phase of the public sector transformation program to build on the gains made in phase 1. Phase 2 will focus more on digital transformation, continuing to ensure the requirements for increased productivity in the public sector are in place. We intend to make significant progress in the implementation of the pay-for-performance element of the new compensation system. We have begun the conversations with our union partners because we must continue to transform to provide the framework and tools to improve productivity in the public sector. The pay-for-performance system is a key component in incentivizing performance in the public sector. Compensation for government employees is in the budget at $495.8 billion. $1 billion to support continuation of the Jamaica National Service Corps and a compensation contingency provision of $33 billion to meet the cost of public sector wage settlement, including a provision of $3 billion to support the filling of vacant technical positions in regional health authorities. On the issue of the current round of wage negotiations, the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service has thus far received 11 claims and has commenced discussions with the unions and associations for the new contract period. We have agreed 2 key policies with the union. One for work done outside of normal working hours, and the other for the provision of uniform allowances. The continued engagement of all stakeholders remain key to the maintenance of harmony in the public sector.
So Bonnie, you renew your road license yet?
Babes, the road have me away. I can't even find time, but you know money for me.
Because see, I shall out them money the back for late fee and record fee when you sit down make your road license expire upon you.
Well, transport authority so we can apply online. And that me I got to know.
Operators of public passenger vehicles and commercial carriers, renew your road license before April 1 and avoid late penalty. A message from the Transport Authority.
Up next, what are some of the projects to be continued in the upcoming fiscal year by the Office of the Prime Minister? Let's find out.
Numbers on a page tell a story, and in this feature we decode the fiscal blueprint for a few critical projects, tracing the budgetary allocations that are driving the build-out of a national ID, strengthening agriculture resilience, ensuring community safety, and expanding access to quality education. So, what are the figures? $24.23 billion, and this will be used by the Office of the Prime Minister for its day-to-day operations and to carry out its capital projects in the 2025-2026 financial year. Here's a breakdown for the capital projects. With several key components of the National Identification System NIDS in place, the government is now focused on completing the remaining targets. An allocation of $2.88 billion will go towards completing modification and network connection to 19 enrollment sites, executing the NIDS communication strategy, and establishing the GOJ public key infrastructure. It will also seek to complete the Registrar General's Department, RGD's web portal and e-wallet, and the Digital Birth Certificate Program. This is being funded by the government and the Inter-American Development Bank, the IDB.
I must thank all the persons who have worked long and hard to have the National Identification Card brought to this point. It is meant to give every Jamaican verifiable and secured identity documents.
Having started in 2020, progress will advance in critical areas to complete works under the Rural Economic Development Initiative 2 by September this year. Among the targets are to complete the redevelopment of a tilapia fish hatchery and the construction of a cold storage facility at Windalco Kirkvine.
2 40-foot containers which will be retrofitted to provide 135 cubic meters of cold storage capacity. Additionally, we will have another 40-foot container which will be retrofitted to provide 67 cubic meters of dry storage capacity. We're doing it for all the different types of produce that we have in this belt.
Provision is also made for agricultural inputs to women and youth, as well as drip irrigation facilities for the Amity Hall Farmers Cooperative and Ebony Park Agro Cooperative Society. A greenhouse nursery will be constructed in Watermount to enhance access to markets and climate-resilient approaches for targeted beneficiaries in the tourism and agricultural sectors. Transforming volatile spaces into safe havens of opportunity and peace. The number is $215.8 million, and the vehicle is the Integrated Community Development Project 2. With 1 year remaining, infrastructure projects will be completed in Norwood, Salt Spring, and Anchovy in St. James. At the end of 2024, rehabilitation works were completed at 5 primary schools and at the Denham Town Police Station. In addition, safe walkways were created for students at 4 primary schools, along with parks and green spaces within 7 communities, and infrastructure work in ZOSO declared areas.
We need safe, well-built social spaces.
The numbers also reveal continued social intervention by improving access to quality education and training in vulnerable communities. 1 infant school is to be constructed in Mount Salem, while 3 primary schools will be rehabilitated and expanded. The implementing agency is the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSIF. The agency will also be doing similar works under the Capacity Building for Education and Livelihood Development Project. That will cost $572.5 million. Under the recurrent budget, $196 million is allotted to support the National Registration Unit and establish the National Identification and Registration Authority, NIRA. Both entities share responsibility for the implementation and administration of NIDS. This includes registration and promoting the use of the identification number and card. With general election constitutionally due in 2025, $1.2 billion will support administrative duties to register voters, produce ID cards, and update the official voters list. In addition, $1.95 billion will support the holding of the election. Moving now to the Constituency Development Fund unit. $1.36 billion of its allocation is to provide grants, contributions, and subsidies across all 63 constituencies. Administrative support to formulate, monitor, and implement the national security policy is $55 million. The policy recommends actions and strategic security initiatives and provides technical advice to the Prime Minister on the impact of regional and international security concerning Jamaica. With $11 million more in the budget, this will strengthen the results-based management and enhance performance across ministries, departments, and agencies. From a secure digital identity that empowers individuals to safer communities where families can thrive, a more efficient public sector that serves its citizens effectively, and a commitment to social development that leaves no one behind. These are the pillars upon which a stronger Jamaica is being built.
Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your health. And our focus is on colon cancer. We are uncovering the risk factors, sharing practical steps to prevention, and offering hope with options for treatment.
The gastrointestinal tract is a system of organs working together to support the human body. It takes food, digests it, absorbs energy and nutrients, and then removes waste through urine and feces. The esophagus, stomach, pancreas, liver, and colon are all part of this system, and studies show that cancer of these vital organs are becoming increasingly common in Jamaica. One of the leading causes of death among Jamaican men and women is colon cancer. Colon cancer does not discriminate. It's the 3rd most common cause of cancer-related death among Jamaican men and women. But like most lifestyle-related illnesses, you have the power to reduce your risk of developing colon cancer as well as prevent it from occurring. An unhealthy diet, smoking, obesity, alcohol use all increase one's risk for colon cancer.
Everyone is at some risk for colon cancer because everyone has a colon. But some individuals are at higher risk for colon cancer, depending on, for example, their diet or lifestyle. So a diet which is very high in processed meat, a diet which is high in fat, a diet which is low in fiber, these all increase your risk for colon cancer.
Other risk factors include persons with pre-existing medical conditions such as inflammatory bowel disease and ulcerative colitis. The risk level of persons with these diseases increases after 10 years. Therefore, active screening is a necessity. Unfortunately, signs and symptoms of colon cancer often mimic other diseases such as inflammatory bowel disease and irritable bowel syndrome. That's why it's crucial that there's early screening. So visit your doctor if you experience dark or bloody stool, rectal bleeding, diarrhea, constipation, bowel incontinence or narrowing of the stool that goes beyond a few days, belly pain, anemia, vomiting or unexplained weight loss.
You can develop a screening protocol in an individual depending on their risk.
It's recommended that colon cancer screening starts between the ages of 45 and 50 years old. The simplest screening tool is a stool test for blood at a local laboratory.
So this is not you looking to see if there's blood in the stool. This is you going to your doctor at the appropriate age. Your doctor sends you to the lab to get a stool sample tested to see if there is a microscopic amount of blood. This is the first sign usually that there is something called a polyp inside the colon. So the polyp is what's known as a precancerous stage. So it's not cancer itself, but we do know that a significant number of cancers will develop in individuals who have had a polyp. And the objective is to find the polyp and remove it before it gets a chance to become cancerous.
If a polyp is found, the next step in the screening process would involve a colonoscopy. In this procedure, a doctor would place a small camera into the bowel to check for the polyp and remove it if present.
We can do other screening tests. The barium enema is not as popular anymore, but it's still possible and is accessible and available, which is an X-ray involving some dye inside the bowel as well to look to see if there's anything growing there. A CT scan of the bowel can also be done as a screening tool to look to see if you have any polyps, which can then be removed at colonoscopy. Outside of screening for the colon, you may also want to try and reduce your risk by modifying your lifestyle. So stopping smoking, reducing your alcohol consumption, and eliminating processed meat in the diet are all important risk factors which can be modified to reduce the risk of colon cancer.
This is where our journey ends, but only for today. Do join us again tomorrow and we'll bring another informative program. In the meantime, stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or via X at JIS News. You may also find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.